everyone, and welcome back to the Pot's Perspective, a space where we talk real life, health, and little hacks that make things easier. I'm Samantha, and today we're diving into something that might seem simple, but can actually make a big difference when you're living with POTS: how you dress. More specifically, we're talking about layering. If you've ever struggled with suddenly feeling way too hot or freezing cold, you know how unpredictable your body can be. Layering isn't just about style, it's about comfort, flexibility, and giving yourself the power to adapt. So, let's break down why layering is such a smart move for POTS and how to do it in a way that's cute, trendy, and practical. I'm going to briefly explain for those who may not know what POTS is. So POTS is a condition where the body experiences an excessive increase in heart rate upon standing up from a sitting or lying position. So say that you're lying in bed, sleeping, and then you wake up and you jump out of bed. People with POTS can't handle that because the blood can't make it up to the brain fast enough. So it causes dizziness, heart palpitations, and you could pass out if you get up too fast. What also bothers POTS is heat or being too cold, which is why today we're going to be talking about layering and also how to fashionably wear it, because personally I got sick and tired of having to wear these, I guess you could say, untrendy clothes, and I was like, I can't do this anymore. I need to find clothes and layer in a smart way so I can look cute and trendy in the way that I want to dress without being scared that I'm going to pass out or I'm going to be too uncomfortable, if that makes sense. And when you have POTS, it can make a huge difference in your comfort, confidence, and managing your symptoms, which is why today I'm going to be talking about that. So, people who have POTS often deal with dysthymia, and basically, POTS patients usually struggle to regulate the body temperature because of their abnormal autonomic nervous system function, specifically dysthymia, like I mentioned. It impairs the body's ability to control thermoregulation, which is what you need to be able to adjust to the hot and cold. And POTS patients find it hard to do that. So at times where a lot of people are hot, you might be freezing, and people who are freezing, you might be sweating hot. So it's kind of a roller coaster. Getting overheated can trigger symptoms like dizziness, fatigue, and your heart racing, and then cold environments can also make symptoms worse, so you need the flexibility. And so I've had days when I was in class and 10 minutes later I'm peeling off layers because I'm way too warm. A couple days ago I was in a class where it has a lot of equipment and they have to keep that equipment cold, so it was freezing in there. But for some reason, I was sweating, and everyone else was literally shivering, and I was in a tank top. So things like that tend to happen, which is why this is so important. And so I'm going to go into the logic of layering. The reason why I think layering is kind of important is because the layering allows you to adjust quickly without stress. So if you have, a tank top underneath and you have a sweater on top, you get hot, you take it off. And instead of being stuck in a sweaty, heavy sweater or freezing in a tank top, layers give you control over that. And so I'm going to talk through the basic layering formula. So your base layer, something breathable, soft, usually a tank or a tee. Middle layer, a long sleeve or a cardigan. And then the outer layer, a jacket, a wrap, or a lightweight sweater. The reason why I say this is because, if you're freezing, you obviously have all that on you, but then you can take it off and then take it off, and then you have this nice tank top. When choosing your middle layer and your outer layer, it's important to have the fabric in mind, like cotton or wool. Those are good because it's breathable and it won't trap any too much heat in that. And to also think about keeping your layers lightweight so that it's easy to carry if you take them off. Especially like me, I'm on a college campus, and walking from one side of the campus all the way to the other side of the campus might be hard if I'm carrying a heavy jacket and a heavy sweater. Next, I want to talk about the practical fashion meets trendy style. Because you want to be trendy too, you know? You don't want to just be wearing, stretchies and a tank top the whole entire year. The outfit can be functional and cute. So some examples could be cropped cardigans with tanks underneath, oversized button-ups layered over a fitted tee, lightweight knitted sweaters that slip on and off easily, accessories like scarves or wraps, double as style and extra warmth if needed. When you feel comfortable in your body, in your clothes too, it shows. So me personally, when I feel like I'm rocking an outfit, I feel like I'm rocking an outfit. And so now I want to go into some real life scenarios. I'm going to share some situations that I've gone into before finding out this layering technique. And so in a lot of my classes, especially in the summer, the AC is blasting in one class, and then another class is stuffy air. And then at work, sometimes it can be hot and sometimes it can be freezing. And then social events, indoors or outdoors, it depends. If it's too hot, the humidity, just feel it. And if it's too cold, you're literally shivering in the corner. As I mentioned before, my lighting class was a big one. And then one of my other classes, the sun from the windows kind of like wrapped around the whole classroom, were beaming into the classroom, and so it was making it hot and stuffy. And so I had to take my sweaters and layers off so I could be cool, ultimately. At work, at one of my jobs, I work with food, and so sometimes it gets really hot. And then sometimes when there's not much food cooking, it gets freezing cold. Like, it's so cold. Even during the winter, it's freezing. And then when I was on vacation, I went on a vacation by a lake, and it was freezing. And then another minute, the next day, it was humid. And I was just like, what the heck? But finding that layering technique that I shared with you guys has really helped me so far. There was a time I went to a lecture hall wearing just a sweater, and 5 minutes in, I was overheated and dizzy. And if I had a tank top underneath, I could have just slipped it off and felt way better. These layers are a good prevention tool for symptoms and flare-ups. That's it for today's episode of The Pot's Perspective. I hope this gave you some inspiration and practical ideas for making layering work for both your health and your style. Remember, it's all about having options and listening to what your body needs in the moment. If you've got your own tips or favorite layering pieces, I'd love to hear them. You can share them with me on my social media linked in the description. Thanks so much for listening. Take care of yourself, and I'll see you on the next episode.